Right now at 6, why Oregon's biggest cannabis market says it's shutting its doors for good.
This is not sustainable for me and my family.
Plus, how an iconic clothing brand with local roots is now looking to transform downtown Washougal.
Having all those units down here really helps us with achieving our long-term plans.
And new options for PDX passengers take flight.
There's only so much capacity in Seattle, and so I think Portland can serve as a real connecting hub for Alaska Airlines, mainly domestically.
Where Portland's biggest carrier says it's ramping up service to keep up with demand. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Petawanich. We begin here at 6 in Southeast Portland, where a cannabis market is closing down after a string of break-ins. The co-founder says keeping it open is no longer sustainable.
Daisy Caballero is live at the store off Southeast Division and 10th. And Daisy, it sounds like this was the last straw.
Yeah, David, Christine, the latest break-in happened yesterday morning right behind me here, and it wasn't the first. It's happened multiple times. Now, the owner says that for him and his partner, it's costed them hundreds of thousands of dollars.
They used to call us the Costco of cannabis because all those racks that you see were full of product, typically around 10,000 pounds at a time.
Corey Turner is the CEO of the Portland Cannabis Market in Southeast Portland, a company that's been hit by armed burglars 6 to 7 times over the last 7 years, costing them and their farm partners over $1.5 million in lost product and damages.
Because we're basically an all-you-can-eat buffet for drug dealers who want to rob us.
This is the largest physical cannabis market shop in the state. That is, until recently.
So I'm stepping out away from the business because this is not sustainable for me and my family.
Their latest break-in happened early Monday morning.
And this bar right here was through here like that, and they were able to push their way through that.
After the same group attempted to break in the day before.
Being that they had Jimmy rigged the door the first night, there was no sensor on that door at that point, so he had a little bit longer to get in.
You can come out now with your hands up.
This was also the only time a suspect that broke in got arrested by Portland police.
This is the Portland police.
Turner believes this was due to the lengthy time it took officers to get there, a trend he says he's seen during every other incident, if they arrived at all.
On average, it's been at least 50 minutes for them to show up to our facility, and as far as I know, the local precinct is 6 blocks away. I've been on the phone with the police department while it's happening, while I'm driving here, and they still don't get here.
Turner says the burglars have gotten away with about $100,000 to $150,000 worth of product every time, and has cost him up to $160,000 in total damage repairs.
In the next few weeks, I'll probably be all the way out of the business. But yeah, walking around, blood, sweat, and tears we put into this place, and it's depressing.
Now, you certainly can understand that sentiment there. So, Daisy, what are police saying about all of this?
Yeah, David, we reached out to Portland police this morning for an interview, but unfortunately they weren't available. But they did send us this statement that reads in part, quote, "We sympathize greatly with this business and all the businesses who might have similar situations. We also have publicly talked about our staffing crisis and that we have the lowest number of patrol officers in more than 30 years. We are trying our best with the resources we have, and our detectives work these cases exhaustively, knowing that solving one may mean solving others." Back to you guys.
Yeah, Daisy Caballero in Southeast Portland tonight. Thank you, Daisy. We're going to stay there for your headlines because 5 people are in custody after a standoff that began this morning in Southeast Portland stretched into the afternoon. Officers say they were serving a search warrant at a home near Southeast 90th Place in Powell. 3 people initially surrendered, but authorities say 2 others barricaded themselves inside. Neighbors were told to stay indoors as police worked to end that standoff, with the 2 being led away by authorities just after 2:30. Police say the warrant here was related to a stolen property investigation.
To Vancouver now, where police are looking for whoever shot at two homes early Sunday morning. Around 3 a.m., gunfire was reported on Northeast Lidler Way, just off 4th Plain and Whitman. Officers did not find any damage, but after sunrise, a neighbor found several bullet holes in their living room wall. A nearby home and a car were also shot. Officers found nearly 30 shell casings nearby. Call Vancouver Police if you know anything.
The city of Portland has resumed camp removals following a week-long pause for the point-in-time count. The count is a federal requirement used to gather information about unsheltered and sheltered people who are homeless in order to better target resources. Organizers say this year's count should show fewer unsheltered individuals, thanks in part to an increase in shelter beds.
Boeing's newest earnings report is out, and it shows the company posted an almost $12 billion loss last year. Boeing says a big factor here, the machinist strike that paused work at plants in Washington and Oregon for 7 weeks last fall. Production also slowed after the door plug blowout, you may recall, over Portland last January. And the company has lost more than $35 billion since the deadly crashes involving two 737 MAX 8 planes back in 2018 and 2019. To try to make up the losses, Boeing has given layoff notices to about 10% of its workforce. Matt?
All right, Christine, thanks very much. Another beautiful sunset here in the Northwest. Look at Newport right now, some scattered high clouds. This might be the last one we get for a while, though tomorrow will be close. 45 in Newport. We had 50s on the coast, 50s in the valleys, but the day started cold. Tomorrow will start cold as well outside the Portland area. So weather impact alert for temperatures down around 25 for a couple hours in the early part of the day. You can see it does not include the Portland area of northern Clark County and then the valley once you get south and west of downtown. Then our attention turns to the falling snow level this weekend. It will drop to about 1,000 feet come Sunday. Best case scenario is we end up with just cold valley rain. Worst case is we end up with an inch or 2 or 3 of snow in the valley floor. I think that's unlikely. Most likely, we will see a rain-snow mix for a couple of days potentially, but no sticking snow in the valley floor. We'll dig deeper into this scenario in a bit, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, we will be keeping tabs on it. I know you will be. Thank you, Matt. To an update now out of Salem. Today, the trial got underway for a California truck driver accused of killing 7 farm workers when he crashed into their work van.
Dozens of victims' family members filled that courtroom this morning. Prosecutors say Lincoln Smith was driving high on meth in May of 2023 when his 18-wheeler slammed into that worker transport van parked on the shoulder of I-5 near Albany. As part of their opening statement, prosecutors talked about what another driver witnessed just before the crash.
While she was driving along I-5, she saw a semi-truck swerving. The semi-truck swerved over to the side of the road, then overcorrected into the left lane, nearly hitting an orange Jeep in that left lane.
Prosecutors say a trooper found drugs in Smith's belongings and that Smith later tested positive for meth, cocaine, and fentanyl. Defense attorneys admit that Smith took drugs the day before the crash, so they argued he was not impaired the following day and had fallen asleep while trying to pull into a rest stop.
And we intend to show that this was a non-criminal accident, or at best, criminally negligent homicide.
Smith faces charges that include 7 counts of manslaughter and 3 counts of assault.
One of the most well-known Oregon clothing companies is looking to expand its footprint in Washougal, but not in the way you might think.
Not making blankets here. Devin Haskins has more on what you might call the latest project from Pendleton.
Pendleton Woolen Mills recently filed for a 15-year development project agreement, which basically means that it keeps the codes that are in place today throughout the duration of that agreement. And if approved, it opens the door for a large-scale project that'll change the city of Washougal. 63 acres of property that's owned by Pendleton Woolen Mills could soon turn into retail, green space, and multifamily residential units. The proposed plan says a third of the property would be for residential use, creating 780 new places to live. Mitch Knipe is the city's community development director and says Pendleton has been talking about developing the land for almost 2 decades. He says this is a great opportunity for the city.
So this is where we want to see development occur in Washougal, in the downtown core here. We have the infrastructure, we were talking about that earlier, the roads, the water, the sewer, the capacity for all of that exists right here. We're not building new roads, out on the outskirts of town in order to accommodate something. So this is really where we want to see that growth.
The City Council will hold a public hearing next month, and if it approves it, the development process would move forward, although it's unclear when crews would first break ground. A spokesperson for Pendleton Woolen Mills declined comment, referring us to the city, saying it was too early to comment. In Washougal, I'm Devin Haskins, KGW News.
We have some quick moving developments out of Washington to get you caught up on now. Last night, President Trump issuing an order to freeze federal grants and loans that have already been appropriated by Congress.
But late this afternoon, a federal judge temporarily blocked that order minutes before it was set to take effect. The White House had planned to start the pause to review federal funding and spending and make sure it matched the president's policy goals, including undoing DEI efforts and rolling back protections for transgender people. The plan created widespread confusion across the government, in state and local programs, and at local nonprofits. Now, in our area, the nonprofit Meals on Wheels People relies on federal dollars for 35% of its funding.
I think it's too early to tell, but it would be a huge hit. So we will have to figure out how to raise revenue.
Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield said he'll join other state attorneys general in suing to stop the White House from pausing federal grants. We'll have much more on the impact of this order coming up at 6:30 on The Story.